Hello my beautiful angels, welcome back to my channel. It's been such a long time, but I'm Isabel, if you remember me. I am officially a mom now. My 2-month-old is sleeping in the room next door, and a lot has happened since you last saw me, which is why I haven't uploaded or done anything really on YouTube or really too much on Instagram. That's where I'm usually at. If you don't see me here, about a month before I gave birth, we moved to a new place and I've been recovering my postpartum, aka the 4th trimester, and I think for me, postpartum was a lot harder than any moment of my pregnancy and even the birth. Just recuperating, having your body come back to normal, energy levels, taking care of a newborn is just so overwhelming and so much that I didn't put pressure on myself to come back to YouTube or social media. Plus, I also wanted to spend as much time as I could just soaking in the newborn stage and just getting to know my baby Evelina. Since I did end up having a natural water birth in a birth center, a lot of people want to know what that's like and how that went for me. So I want to share in hopes of just helping other women or inspiring other women, or if you're pregnant or you're thinking about having children one day, just to be helpful. I don't talk about this to shame anyone, especially if you decided to go the epidural route or you had a C-section or you got induced and all that stuff and you had a hospital birth. Good for you. I think that, birth is a very personal thing. Every pregnancy is different, every woman's different, every baby is different. So don't want anybody to feel shamed about your choices or what you did or what you're deciding to do. This is just me sharing my experience. And also want to do a little trigger warning for those of you who don't like to hear anything about birth or babies or any of that. If that's not your thing, click off this video. You don't have to watch. That being said, let's get on with my birth story. So on Thanksgiving Eve, the day before Thanksgiving, I started to, trigger warning by the way, if you don't want to hear about blood, anything of that, turn off. It's not too graphic, but I had a little bit of a bloody show, so a little bit of spotting, but not like super crazy, super heavy, just some discharge and spotting, which means usually it could be your mucus plug. It starts coming out a little bit, or it can come out all at the same time. That usually means that your body is starting labor. I called my midwife because I was getting a little bit of that and some cramping, like I was gonna get my period. So I called her up and she said, well, that's normal. Don't worry, don't freak out about it. Just go about your day. And so I had planned to go with my brother-in-law to go shopping, last minute Thanksgiving feast shopping, because I hadn't done any shopping. On my 3rd trimester, towards the end, I was just so heavy. Walking was a pain. I had pelvic pain. I had groin pain. I wanted to go buy the stuff for the vegan dishes that I like to make. So I went to Whole Foods with my brother-in-law, my little nephew, and just went through the store like normal. I was feeling the crampiness, I was feeling it, but my midwife said, just keep going through. This is about 38 weeks, almost 39 weeks. I really wasn't thinking that I was going to have her then. My midwife was pretty adamant. I mean, she had checked my cervix about 2 weeks prior. She's like, you're doing really good. If you have this baby in December, I'll be really surprised. I feel like you're gonna have her in November. So I was like, no, I want her to be a December baby. Anyways, went shopping. All I had was like 2 slices of pizza and didn't really eat anything all day. Was just like, in the Thanksgiving rush. It was the afternoon, still feeling the crampiness, still feeling like that, but feeling just like tired, like I couldn't keep going and keep walking. I was even lifting stuff into the car, really active going up and down the stairs. Things started to get progressively not so good. So around 9:45 p.m., I started to feel more contraction-like cramping. I was thinking maybe these are like Braxton Hicks, maybe that, it's like not real labor. It's just like my body preparing. Maybe I won't go into labor and like real labor for like 2 more days. Wasn't until about 9:45 p.m. where I was like in bed and I was having heavy period pains, kind of like contractions. Like contractions are like waves. It stops and then another wave comes and it kind of, the pain goes up and then it comes down again and then you're kind of like that. So I was feeling more of like a constant pain, but then it started to kind of become more contraction, like going in and out, in and out. So I called my mom and I'm like, you know, I don't know if this is labor. I'm kind of like, I don't know. I've never been in labor before, so I don't know what it feels like. So she came over and she was like, yeah, labor feels like a wave, like comes in and out, in and out. So I was like, I don't know if this is even a contraction. I was so confused. I didn't really know what a contraction was like. I took a birth course. I took the Mama Natural birth course. Until you feel it, then you actually know what it is. I feel like until you don't feel it, it's kind of like confusing. I don't know, it was for me. So I took out my contraction timer, it's an app, and I started to time them. So I wasn't sure whether to count how long the contraction lasted or if I should count the time in between. So I was like pressing the button and I didn't know when to press. I was so confused. So my mom's there. She gives me like a heating pad. She's asking me like on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is your pain? I was like, it's like maybe around a 5 or 6. But also I know that I have like a higher pain tolerance. So I wasn't freaking out. I was just like, oh, you know, in bed. Like I was so tired too because I was exhausted from all the shopping I had done that day. But we were waiting kind of for the cramping to subside, because usually if they're kind of like prodromal, I don't know how to say it. It's like a fake labor. If it was a fake labor, then, you know, at around 10, 11, it'd probably subside and then it would go away and then start up again. So, but it was not subsiding. So around 10 p.m., 10, 11 p.m., my mom calls the midwife and she says, well, you know, Isabel, she's having this kind of pain and probably like a 6 or 7. What should we do? And she said, well, try to sleep through the contractions, because if you go into labor tomorrow, you're going to be exhausted if you stay up all night. So go get forgot what it was, it's sleeping aid, I forgot what it is, an over-the-counter sleeping pill, which I don't like to take any kind of medications or pills. I hate sleeping pills. They make me feel drowsy, they knock me out. So I was kind of scared to do that, but I said, okay, if I can sleep, because I was so tired, guys, I was so tired, if I can sleep, even better. And she says, if you take that and you can't sleep through contractions, call me. So I took that, I would fall asleep and then bam, those contractions would hit me. It was just pain, 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 and then it would stop, and then I'd sleep again, and then poof, again. And it kept going. Contractions started getting closer and closer together and for longer. So at this point, I'm starting to get like a lower back pain, like really bad lower back pain, a pain I have never felt before. The bed wasn't giving me enough support. I felt like I needed to be on a hard surface. So I laid down on this floor, literally, I laid down. My fiance looked at me like I was crazy. He was like, Isabel, what are you doing? And I was like, this is literally the only thing that's like helping me. So I like lay on there. The hard surface against my pelvis just helped me so much. And I put a pillow between my legs and I kind of, you know, did that just to give me some more support. I think it was like back labor, some people call it. And that was probably way worse than the actual contractions. I mean, that feeling of like a burning in your lower back, it's awful. And I was laying there and I'd fall asleep and then a contraction would wake me back up. So I was like, I definitely can't sleep through these contractions. So then probably around 3 something, I told my mom, please call Marsha and see what she says, because I'm obviously not talking this clearly. I'm like, oh, the midwife, call her. The midwife says, yeah, you know, I'm here at the birth center. So, you know, we don't live far from the birth center, neither does she. So it's like right there. So she's like, yeah, I'm here at the birth center. You know, just let her keep laboring a little bit and then head over here. I was just laying there. Really wanted to labor as much as possible at home, because you know, you don't want to go in there since there's no interventions. We're not, you know, using Pitocin, which is to induce labor. And then finally, I'm just laying there and all of a sudden I just feel like something just open up down there. And as soon as that happened, I sat up, I was like, okay, let's go. I gotta go. I feel this baby is coming. Got to the birth center maybe around 4:15-ish. That sleeping aid made me so drowsy. I was, you know, I felt drugged up, honestly. This is why I decided not to have an epidural or any of that, because drugs on me, my body can't handle them. I always have a reaction to antibiotics. I have a reaction to all types of things. And it was funny because my midwife had told me, like during our appointments, I asked her, you know, how do you really know you're in labor versus it being like prodromal, I don't know how to say that word, or Araxin Hicks. She's like, well, if I talk to you on the phone and I ask you how's your pain and you're able to speak to me, I know that you're not in labor. And it's funny because all the times that we called her, I was able to speak to her, and she was like in shock because I was like not dying in pain. They get my clothes off. All I have on is like a bra. Had like a, you know, a cute hairstyle planned, and you know, I wanted to buy like cute bra to labor in and all this stuff. Nope, none of that happened. I literally was not prepared to have my baby on Thanksgiving morning. The way the birth center is set up is that there's two different rooms. They're both the same layout. Basically, they have a bed and a huge round tub and a shower and like a bathroom. It's like a little hotel. You get to choose which one, if you want to labor in the pink Chanel room or in the green room. Obviously I chose the green room. You know, the tub was already filled. They took my vitals and blood pressure and all that, listened to the baby heartbeat. She checked me down there. She said, yes, the baby's coming. You know, you are in active labor. So she's like, I want you to walk around the room because gravity is going to help bring this baby down. So the baby was kind of, her head was kind of facing, not straight. Obviously they have to have their head down when they're coming. Her head was down, but she was kind of faced to the side. They wanted, you know, me to walk around to see if she'll start to face forward as she should, or face more this way, not that way. And so I walked around a little bit, you know, had my fiance like had to like hold on to him and like sway my hips and squat and do all this stuff and all this movement, and in this, like, it was very painful. Like, it felt like everything was just about to fall out. Like my uterus, everything was about to fall out. I was visualizing, okay, have the baby come out, have the baby, you know, push down the birth canal out, you know, out of my cervix. I was kind of, you know, really focused on that. I wasn't too focused on the pain, more focused on that. And then I get back on the bed. She checks me again. She's like, this baby's still facing that way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reach in there and turn her, you know, like, I don't know what she did exactly, but she kind of turned the baby like from the outside and from the inside, turned her head like that. And when she did that, my water broke. So it was just like gushed out. I don't really know timetables at this point. I don't know how long. It feels a lot longer than it actually was. I think it was about 20 minutes of that. And then she lays me back down on the bed. She does some weird maneuvering with my legs. Like, she grabs my legs. She's like, okay, Isabel, when you feel a contraction come, I pull your legs out and push them back in, and you feel a contraction, I want you to push. So I was like, oh, you know, pushing. In the meantime, I had like a hypnobirthing soundtrack in the background, but it kept turning off for some reason. All I had in there was my fiance, my mom, and Marsha, the midwife, and another, you know, nurse was there as well. And nobody knew how to like go back on the app and turn it back on. So at one point, Marsha took my phone and she's like, you know, trying to put up the volume, and she accidentally called 911. So I was like, oh my God, you know how the iPhone has like that emergency thing? And I hung up really quick, and then they called me back and they're like, hi, we received a call from this number, and they hung up. Is everything okay? And I was like, yes, everything's fine. Like, trying to sound all calm so that they wouldn't think something was happening to me and send the cops over. I was like, yes, everything's fine. It was an accident. And they're like, okay. My midwife was like, how did you sound so calm? You're literally in the middle of labor. We averted a situation, a crisis there. This maneuver that she did really helped me, you know, bring the baby out. Because one thing when you go into labor, since it's your first baby, usually your labor will be really long. And that's what we really wanted to avoid, was me being in labor super long. Because when you're in labor for a long time, you get exhausted. You're more likely to want to transfer to the hospital, which I didn't want to do. A lot of things can complicate if you have a longer labor. So, you know, by her doing these movements and having me actively walk around and things like that, that helped my labor speed up. My worry when, you know, I was feeling all this pain was, oh my gosh, is this going to last for hours? At one point she says, okay, Isabel, it's time for you to get up and go into the tub and have your water birth. So I get up, I walk over, and I get in the tub. It felt like I was in there for about 30 to 40 minutes, but as soon as I got in the tub, it was just a huge relief. The reason I wanted to have a water birth really was because I love water. I love long baths. I love hot showers. I feel the best in water. I'm a very watery person. I'm a Pisces, I guess. So that's why I knew I wanted to have a water birth. I had read years ago about water birth, hypnobirthing and all that, and I knew that when the time came, that's what I wanted to do. At first I was kind of laying back, But then, you know, I got the urge to get on all fours in the bathtub, kind of like not on all fours, but like, you know, on my knees and kind of laying over the edge of the tub like this. Every time I felt a contraction, she said, okay, when you feel a contraction, you push. If you push twice, if you do kind of like you push once and then you push again right after, it'll help the baby come out quicker. So that's what I was focusing on. I had the, you know, hypnobirthing track in the background, and it kept telling me every contraction is bringing you closer to your baby, like a wave in the sea. And I'm gonna share that hypnobirthing app. I think it was the Gentlebirth app. I had, you know, thought of having classical music, but in that moment, as soon as my contraction started at home, I was listening to that app because it really helped me. My midwife had me do like these really low, like ooh, like that. I didn't like doing that. What really felt good was every time that contraction hit, I would just push like with my body, like work with my body. And I think that's really the key to having a natural birth, is knowing that this is natural for your body. Your body was built to do this and was made to do this. Your body is actually what's bringing your baby to you. So if you don't work against the pain, you don't work against your body, you work with it, you kind of breathe in the pain and you kind of feel the pain and see the pain as something good, then that helps you. So it felt so good for me to push. I was falling asleep between contractions. I was even drooling a little bit. I caught myself and I was like, whoa, all these people are watching me. At this point, it's two midwives, my mom, my fiance sitting right in front. He was just sitting there like so concerned. He was silent, which he's never silent. And he was just like, I mean, seeing men see labor is the funniest thing ever. They're probably scared to death. Then finally, I feel the head. Like I was, you know, touching down there. I could feel her little head. There comes a point where the head goes through, you know, the vagina, the vaginal opening, and that part is called the ring of fire for a reason, because it's like heat, like an intense, like burning, but it's not like a painful burn, but it's just like a burning. And so once that happened, I was like, oh my God, ring of fire, she's coming out. I remember saying it out loud, like ring of fire. And at that point I was like, okay, I just have like a couple more pushes and she's gonna be here. And funny enough, the song, for some reason, the song God is a Woman by Ariana Grande started playing in my head. And I was like, yeah, let's do this, let's do this. And I was like, okay, I gotta push, I got this, I got this. Like for me, going through birth, like it really helped to have like that positive affirmations from my midwife. My mom was a little bit more like, it's okay, Isabel, I know it hurts. And I was like, I don't need to hear that. I didn't tell her that, but I was like, I do not need to hear you feeling sorry for me. I need you to tell me I can do this. So once that song started playing in my head, it was just like, okay, let's get this baby out. I gotta get her out. I'm on all fours inside the tub and I give like one last push and now she just, she just bolted out. Midwife didn't even get a chance to catch her. I didn't get a chance to catch her. My fiance said that she just came out like a torpedo and like spun in the water. And then all I remember is my midwife saying, oh, Isabel, get your baby, grab your baby. And I reached down and she came out. And wow, that was insane. Like my fiance started sobbing. You know that feeling when you finish a project and you're just finally done with it and you're like, I feel good about this. That's how I felt, honestly. I was just so grateful to be done. I literally labored in that tub for only about 10 minutes. So it was pretty quick, even though it felt like an hour I was in there. And I had her at 6 in the morning on Thanksgiving. I couldn't have asked for a better experience, really. It just went quick, it went smoothly. And my midwife had told me that usually when women are in labor, they kind of go into themselves and kind of like inwards, and they even sleep between. I was like, that's crazy that they would sleep, you know, during labor. But I did. Like I was sleeping in between contractions and it was like my body was just so like relaxed almost, but still it was just, I can't explain. I know a lot of people talk about like hypnobirthing and it's like out of body experience. For me, it was very inward and very, you know, very much my body. Like I felt very in tune with my body. I didn't feel much fear. It was just like, this was like a challenge for me. And I just had so much confidence in my midwife, the birth team, and I just knew it was something that I had to get through in order for baby to come. The moment you see your baby, it's kind of like receiving the most incredible gift. Like, you know, all this time you're wondering what they're gonna look like. She just came out like this bright pink, you know, little thing. First thing I did was check her hands and her feet, make sure she had all her fingers, all her toes. Her nose is a little squished because, you know, natural babies usually come out a little bit wrinkled and things like that. So her nose was kind of squished to the side, and she came out with this little like blonde patch on her head. She still has it. Immediately when they're born, put her skin to skin so that, you know, they're more likely to breastfeed and latch quickly, because that's a really important thing. So it's important not to cut the umbilical cord right away, so that, you know, because the baby's still receiving oxygen and nutrients from it. So we wait until the cord was white, and then my mom ended up cutting the cord because she cut the cord for my nephew's birth a few years back. So she wanted, you know, to cut her cord. So she got that honor. Yeah, it was wonderful. My dad was there. My sister ended up coming. She actually recorded like the part where I had her. I don't know if I'm going to insert it in this video because it's kind of personal. I like seeing birth videos and stuff, but I was planning on vlogging my birth in this whole process, but now I'm just like, I'm keeping that to myself. I don't know, maybe I'll show a little bit, like a few pictures. It looked awful. I was a hot mess. The most difficult part of that morning was the placenta didn't want to come out right away. Usually it slides out when you're holding the baby or something like that, but mine didn't. I had pushed so hard, and I had just put all my, you know, might into pushing out the baby that I didn't have anything left for my placenta. So they ended up having to like pull it out. I think that hurt way worse than the actual birth of the baby. She had to reach in there and like take pieces out, because then I could hemorrhage and all this stuff, and I was bleeding a lot. I ended up bleeding quite a bit, but it subsided thankfully, and that kind of took away my focus from the baby a little bit. But baby got skin to skin from her dad, and, you know, had skin to skin with me, so she latched and started feeding like right then and there, as, you know, they were taking out my placenta, which was great. So that's the story of how I had my baby on Thanksgiving. Had my family come over to my place, and we cooked Thanksgiving, and we had our Thanksgiving meal. That was the best Thanksgiving dinner I've ever had. But I did ask you guys on Instagram if you had any questions for me, so I'm going to answer some of those questions. The first question says, how did you manage the pain of labor? My biggest fear. I think you honestly can't be afraid of pain. I know I have a higher pain tolerance, but I went into it not being scared of the pain. Honestly, the contraction pains weren't as bad as I thought they were gonna be. I think that they overhype birth and they make it seem a lot more traumatic thanks to movies. What really helped me was watching women's birthing videos on YouTube, and their natural births and their water births, and I thought, okay, if these women can do it, I can certainly do it. I told myself I was strong and I could do it, and that this is something that my body was made to do, and that I could handle it, whatever pain came my way. But breathing really helps. There's the guided affirmations, guided meditations that are on the Gentlebirth app. You did it all natural. I aspire for this in my future. Is the pain really manageable with thought? Yes, the pain is manageable. Even if you have a lower pain tolerance, even if you feel like you're gonna chicken out or anything, just keep telling yourself, this pain is going to bring me closer to my baby. The pain is good. It means my body is working. If you know what's going on during labor, and you actually research and read and take birthing courses and know what your body's doing, your uterus is contracting. If you let your body just do it itself, your body can have your baby for you, which, you know, that's what hypnobirthing is about. Was giving birth better or worse than you expected? Love you too. It was definitely better than I expected. It was quicker than I expected. I was really afraid, like I said, of having like a really long labor. How to navigate anxieties around natural birthing. Read as much as possible. Read the hypnobirthing book. That one was recommended to me early on in my pregnancy by my midwife. Take birthing courses. I highly recommend Mama Naturals. I recommend Mama Naturals YouTube channel as well. Watch birthing videos on YouTube of women who actually had birth in a bathtub. A lot of these women have really, really good stories, and I think it's so empowering to see what the female body is capable of. That's one thing that I felt. I had a newfound respect for my body. Wow, I actually did this. I birthed a human without any medical interventions, and it was really powerful for me. How to get the best bonding experience with your partner through pregnancy? I would say have them come to your ultrasound appointments, take birthing classes together in person, go on a baby moon together, spend time together just talking about the baby, the nursery stuff, going shopping for the baby, picking out names. I noticed, like with my fiance, he was really focused on working and having things in order before the baby came and things like that. So I had to kind of like pull him in and be like, okay, let's go do this for the baby or do that for the baby. And I think for men, it's kind of hard. It doesn't really hit them because they're not the ones that are pregnant. So it doesn't hit them that the baby's coming until it's like right there. So it really helps us to talk about it, show them birth videos, things like that. Bring their hand to your belly so that they feel the kicks and things like that. And it really helps. Were you afraid of giving birth? I'm 7 months pregnant and I'm kind of scared. Don't be afraid. Like I said, for me, I wasn't afraid. I was just afraid of having a very long labor. But as long as you're exercising and walking, eating dates, drinking raspberry leaf tea, getting your protein, things like that, doing things nutritionally for yourself, and also meditation, I highly recommend, if you're pregnant, get the Gentlebirthing app. I also have another pregnancy meditation app, which is absolutely amazing. It's called Expectful. I'll link it down below as well. Listening to those every day will help you a lot. I can't stress the importance of meditation if you're pregnant. Also, maybe getting a doula. I know that you're 7 months already, but getting a doula, getting somebody to coach you through it, I would highly recommend. I didn't have a doula, but my midwife was pretty great in that aspect. So if you're gonna have a baby in a hospital, definitely get a doula. And follow doulas on Instagram and midwives on Instagram. They post so much and they talk about birth in such an empowering way. Birth should be empowering for you, even if it's difficult. Was it painful? Would you do all natural again? So yes, it was painful, but it was manageable. And yes, definitely I would have baby natural again. Lior says, I cannot wait. What would your ideal midwife be like? Definitely my midwife, Marcia. She was incredible. She was a registered nurse and she had delivered babies for 10 years before she started her own business and became a midwife. She's very experienced, she's very knowledgeable, very professional. Her birthing center is beautiful, it's clean, it's amazing, and she really gives you confidence. And she doesn't pressure you into anything. She's just wonderful. So I think she was perfect. How did you find out you were pregnant? Well, I had a feeling. My period was late for a few days. Usually it's pretty on target, and I decided to take a test, and then that's when it came back positive. Were you afraid of the possibility of a C-section? This terrifies me. No, because when you go with a midwife, midwives usually only take low risk candidates. So I was very low risk. I had like a 0% risk because my blood pressure wasn't high. I was pretty healthy. Blood tests came back great. My iron levels were great. Hemoglobin, all these things. Like, I'm very fortunate that my health has been really good. That means that your risk for C-section goes down a lot. And when you have a baby in a hospital, percentage of C-sections go up because OBs are surgeons. And they're great for when there's, an emergency, you have to have a C-section, but also a lot of women will report that they were given an unwanted C-section, or, there's just a lot of interventions in hospital settings where there don't need to be. So since I wasn't having a baby in the hospital and I was very low risk, I didn't really worry about C-section. And you go through so many checks throughout your pregnancy that you see that the baby's doing well and, all these things. My baby was very healthy throughout my entire pregnancy. My glucose levels were good. I had a really good, healthy pregnancy. Did you tear up when you saw your princess for the first time? I didn't actually tear up, but I did. It was a very surreal feeling. Would you do a water birth again? Did you have a PDA or any medicine? No medicine, nothing. Just myself and my body in the water, and my hypnobirthing track in the background. But yeah, I would love to have a water birth again, maybe on the beach someday, something cool like that. What are your thoughts on vaccinations for newborns? Usually you don't vaccinate in about 2 months in, but I did give my newborn the vitamin K shot, and that was just completely my choice. They don't push that on you in the birth center. I did my research and no complications with that or anything, so that's what I did. Is it true that when women push, some women tend to go number 2? Please do tell. Yes, it happens, because this is the thing. When the baby's coming, it feels like you have to go number 2 really badly. Like the biggest number 2 you've ever had to do. That's what it feels like. So it wouldn't surprise me, like, if you have to. And this is the thing, I was laboring with an empty stomach because all I had eaten was like this pizza, and my stomach was empty, so nothing came out on that end. I don't think. Didn't notice if it did, because honestly it just feels like the same sensation as going number 2 does birthing. It's really weird, but that's what happens. Did you have any fears about giving birth in a birthing center versus hospital? No, I didn't. I didn't want to be in a hospital because of COVID. They had restrictions, about how many people can be there at the same time. Birthing center didn't, which I only had my parents and my sister and my fiance there. It wasn't really many people either, but hospitals, I'm not really, my battery died, so I don't know where I left off, but I have to hurry up because I don't have much battery and my baby's about to wake up. So I have so many questions about the pain. Like I said, guys, yes, it is painful, but for me, it wasn't as painful as I was expecting it to be. Definitely was manageable. I think people get so psyched up about the pain, but if you reframe it into, okay, my pain and these contractions are literally bringing my baby to me, then it becomes like, a lot of people have good births where they don't feel much pain and things like that. But if you do feel pain, see it in that way. What made you decide on home birth? I didn't have a home birth. I had a birth center birth. I chose the birth center because I didn't want to have a baby in the hospital, and I decided halfway through my pregnancy that I was going to go the midwife route. I am more of a holistic person, and I did want more holistic care when it came to my pregnancy, especially since I didn't have any complications. I loved my OBGYN, but I was about 20 weeks I made the switch, which my midwife was like, good for you on your first birth to decide to make that switch. Like, a lot of people struggle doing that, and it took a lot of courage. But for me, it was just kind of like a no-brainer. Ever since I was young, I knew I wanted to go this route. My sister had a bit of a traumatic C-section when she had my nephew a couple years back. So seeing what she went through really just told me that I didn't want to go through the same thing. She had kind of unnecessary interventions that led to the C-section that she didn't have to go through because she was perfectly healthy, the baby was perfectly well, and hospitals tend to rush you and do certain things. Not all of them. There are some great hospitals and great doctors and great nurses, obviously, but for a lot of people, that was just a consensus. So for me, it was just like, if I could go through that midwife route and go to a birth center, I would do that. And any tips once baby is born? Definitely have a Freedom Mom. I love, love, love the Freedom Mom postpartum kit. Oh my God, it saved my life. Postpartum is hard, especially if you have a little bit of tearing or a lot of tearing, whatever. Some women don't have tearing. I had very, very small tearing, thankfully, but even if you have small or big tearing, it's important for you to have a postpartum kit with a peri bottle and the ice packs, the cold packs, and the witch hazel foam and the numbing spray and all that stuff. Like, postpartum for me was a lot harder than my whole pregnancy and the birth, really. So the Freedom Mom helped me out a lot. Get as much rest as possible. If you're planning on breastfeeding, definitely eat 500 calories extra every day. Right now, since I am still breastfeeding and I plan to breastfeed for as long as possible, for at least 12 months. I am not dieting to keep my milk supply up, drinking a lot of water. So be sure that you're getting your nutrition in, you're eating lots of proteins, lots of healthy fats. Just because you're eating heavy in the calories doesn't mean that means unhealthy. That's really important. It means 500 calories of whole foods, good stuff that's going to give you nutrients for you and your baby. And just taking care of yourself, asking for help. If you have, your mom near you or, family member that's had children, ask them for help, ask them for advice. Anybody offers you help, take it. If somebody offers to spend the night with you, which my mom has, and she, actively comes and helps and takes care of the baby for me when I need it. I mean, I'm so fortunate to have her. Take that help wherever you can get it. Don't worry so much on like cool gadgets and like the snoo and like the Mamaroo. I mean, I love the Mamaroo, but don't worry about all that stuff. Worry about making sure that you're going to be good and healthy and that your baby's going to be good and healthy at home and you're comfortable. I think that's really important just to, you know, put everything else aside and just focus on your well-being and your baby's well-being, because happy mom equals happy baby. And sleep when the baby sleeps those first few weeks, especially. I know as the baby gets older and you start getting into your routine, it's hard to do that. Like, I don't really sleep when she sleeps anymore because my body's kind of gotten used to that. But if you're still pregnant, sleep as much as possible. You're gonna need it. Did you take the glucose test and any prenatal vitamins? Yes, my prenatals, post a pic right here and link them because I forgot the name of them. But yeah, I took vegan prenatals and I did take the glucose test, but the glucose test was like an organic one, so it didn't taste as bad as like the normal one. My levels came out great, which I'm very grateful for. What would you have wished to know while you were pregnant? Definitely would have taken more steps to avoid tearing. Tearing is very normal. I mean, when I say normal, it happens to most women, I would say, but it doesn't need to happen. So there's ways, like you can do a perineal massage, because for me, guys, like that postpartum recovery, I think it was terrible. I keep saying that because for me it was really bad. So I wish I knew more about postpartum and like what it's like, because I was kind of lost. But the Freedom Mom kit really helped me with knowing what to use postpartum. When I would run out of stuff in the kit, I would reorder on Amazon because those cold packs are amazing. But I would have done more of a perineal massage to kind of prepare my area down there for this, you know, for the stretching and all that, because usually when you have a water birth, you don't tear. I didn't think I tore, but I did have like a little bit of a tear, and it healed beautifully and healed nicely. But my healing took about 8 weeks total for like the bleeding to stop. At my 6-week appointment, she said everything was good. I could exercise, I could, you know, do all these things. So I really wish I would have known more like how to prepare for my 4th trimester, aka postpartum. Because this is the thing. When you're pregnant, you have a ton of doctor's visits. And then when you have your baby, you have like 1 or 2. And they're usually just like to check you physically, like, oh, you're good to go, whatever. There's really not much support in that final stage in the postpartum when you have a baby and you're just like brand new. So definitely wish I would have prepared more for that. Rest a lot so that your uterus heals and closes back up again, because you have like a dinner plate sized hole in your uterus after giving birth. So that's why they give you 6 weeks for that to heal, and you're bleeding. It's called lochia, and over time it gets less and less and less, and then it stops, and then that's when you know, presumed healed. Do you believe in the necessity of pain in the birth process? I'm so afraid of the labor pain. Much love. So this is the last question I'm going to answer, but no, I don't believe it's necessity. It's just a part of it. Yes, I know women don't want to feel the pain and they want an epidural, and that's what you want. That's great. For me, I wanted things to be as natural as possible. I wanted just to feel what it felt like to have a baby. Knowing me, knowing my body, knowing how I react to certain drugs, I just didn't want to. I believe my body could do the best it could, all natural. Me being in control of my body, of my muscles, even if it was painful, I just wanted to feel that. And if you're feeling that pull, don't be afraid. You know, people will think you're crazy, or, oh, you're not going to get a prize or a trophy for having it all natural, or people will think that you won't be able to do it. Okay, so my camera died, but if you can do it, if you prepare and you do your research, you know, make sure that you go to a healthcare provider, whether that's a midwife or a doctor who supports your choices, and know that you have choices in your birthing process, whether you're in a birth center or you're in a hospital. I'm going to link some really helpful Instagram accounts down below that will help you guys who have any questions. If I wasn't able to answer, there's just so much information out there for you guys who want to go the natural route. And if you don't, good for you too. Again, birth is such a personal thing. Every baby is different. Every pregnancy is different. And it's important to choose what's right for you. So thank you, my loves. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you in my next video very soon. I would love to hear your thoughts and your comments down below. And if you guys want to connect with me more often, I am more on Instagram these days. Thinking of starting TikTok soon. Should I do that? But yeah, I love you guys so very much. And always remember, my beautiful angels, no matter who you are in this life, no matter what you may be going through, no matter what you look like, always remember your true beauty, your true worth, and your true power always come from within. I love you so very much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.